So good morning, everyone. Happy New Year for 2014 for the City of Inglewood. Thank you for joining all the residents, the speakers, and myself to identify that we're here as a community of unity. As you know, our theme is moving our economy forward. Therefore, I just want to do a few highlights. And for those, everyone should have pad and pen, or at least a pen in your tote bag. So you want to make notes, please do so. For those that do not have access to the Inglewood Cable Channel 35 on Time Warner Cable, you can view our recording of this as well as prior District 4 Town Hall meetings via YouTube link on the City of Inglewood's website, which is www.cityofinglewood.org. For those of you who do not have access to or use a computer, a master DVD of each town hall meeting is provided in the District 4 ICOP Center and is available for you to check out for free and view the family or to view with your family and block club. The District 4 ICOP Center is located at 2666 West Imperial Highway in the Crenshaw Imperial Shopping Center, and you may speak to Mr. Aaron Elsie. You can contact him by calling 310-330-5346. Again, 310-330-5346, Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. until 4. Our emergency hotline numbers list has been recently updated to include new hotline numbers to the Environmental Service Department, which will provide an immediate and rapid response to sightings of illegal dumping and or scavenging. The new hotline number is 310-502-8971. Repeat, 310-502-8971. And you can pick up an updated emergency hotline numbers flyer at the display table when you first came in. Our job opportunity list email listing has been in place for more than 2 years now, and we continue to hear from individuals who have experienced tremendous success in finding employment. For those of you who may have interest to be added to our job list, please provide your name and email address on the sign-in sheets, or you may submit or contact my assistant, Ms. Claudette Matthews, at the display table, or call our office, District 4 office, which is 310-412-8605. Again, our District 4 office is 310-412-8605. Public work projects. Everyone should receive in their tote bag that there is a diagram of the sewer lateral provided by our Public Works Department that is available for pickup at the display table. So if you didn't get it, double check it, and if you don't, be sure to get one to tell a neighbor or take it to a friend. Please note that the property owner is responsible. I repeat, the property owner is responsible for the maintenance and repair of the sewer lateral in both the public right-of-way and the private property portion. So you need to see that map. Last month, the city worked with AT&T to close up and seal the open vault in front of an apartment complex at the 3600 block of West 104th Street, just west of Yukon Avenue. The city has performed a street improvement project on La Brea Avenue from Market Street to 104th Street, which is now complete. All funding necessary for the completion of resurfacing projects on Van Ness Avenue between Imperial Highway on the south and Century Boulevard on the north has been approved by both Public Works Department of the City of Inglewood and the County of Los Angeles, and the activities will begin shortly with an expected completion date by the year end of 2014. Plans and funding approval are underway for the resurfacing project of Imperial Highway between Van Ness Avenue on the east to Prairie Avenue on the west, and Public Works activities are expected to be completed by the fall of 2015. The long-awaited left-hand turn signal modification at the intersection of 104th Street and Crenshaw Boulevard, which included new wiring, new mast arms, is now completed. There are currently 2 water main replacement and improvement projects going on in District 4. The first is on Imperial Highway between Van Ness Avenue and Prairie Avenue, and the second one on Century Boulevard, just west of Prairie Avenue, called Freeman Avenue, and on up to Yukon Avenue. And then finally, many of the shaved ADA curves have now been completed in the 4th District. They're all throughout the district. Public safety and quality issues. In the Inglewood Today newspaper dated October 17, 2013, it contains a copy of my letter to the residents of the 4th District regarding a series of violent crimes that took place in the 4th District during the 4th quarter of 2013. Many of you received copies of this letter by email or by U.S. mail. So far this year, there has been no violent crimes in District 4, although there have been tragedies in other parts of the city, which you'll hear later from the chief. Copies of the newspaper are available at the display table while supplies last. Red Flex camera agreement. It expired January 16, 2014, and the City Council and the Inglewood Police Department are taking steps to terminate the contract. The cost associated with the Red Flex cameras. Got your attention. Somebody's listening out there. The costs associated with the Red Flex cameras will be redirected to support our community services, such as capital improvement projects. The absentee landlord of the Acosta Taco site, located at the corner of 110th Street and Prairie Avenue, has allowed city staff to access the property to remove the graffiti and illegal dumping items to secure the empty lot with a permanent wrought iron gate. A special thank you goes out to the city's graffiti removal crew and the Public Works Department for their efforts in this matter. The abandoned gas station at the northwest corner of Imperial Highway and Yukon Avenue has now been cleaned up. The homeless encampment has been removed, the building has been boarded up, and the illegal signage has been taken down. Again, a special thank you to code enforcement and the Public Works Departments for their efforts in this matter. Recreational vehicles and oversized vehicles, including motor coaches, trailers, and boats, now must comply with the new parking requirements, which are now in effect and will be enforced this month by the Inglewood Police Department. These requirements limit the parking oversized vehicles that are in excess of 20 feet in length, 6 feet in height, and from parking in any city street, I want to repeat, any city street, for more than 2 consecutive hours, and must also maintain a distance of no less than 10 feet from all adjacent driveways. The forum tickets. Please be advised that the mayor and city council do not, I repeat, do not have tickets for any events taking place at the forum. Tickets for all forum events are available through the Madison Square Gardens Company, and there'll be a representative later to speak about that. So please, no more emails and contacts to say, I want to go to all these different concerts. I just don't have them. And finally, this is where you now play a critical role about the quality of life and things you want to see in the community. Today you will be hearing a presentation regarding Hollywood Park Tomorrow project. And with that project, we're looking to bring in a variety of retail shops and food establishments. We have a retail survey that we would like for you to complete to provide us with your feedback on what type of retail shops and or food establishments you would like to see in this project. So look in your tote bags, you will see a listing of all different types of retail stores. We're requesting that each household complete the survey and turn it in to Miss Claudette Matthews at the display table at the end of today's meeting. If there are several retailers under a specific category, please indicate your preference by identifying that one being the most preference, second be the second, and third, etc. If a retailer you prefer is not listed on this survey, please write the name or names of the retailer or retailers on the back of the survey. I see Ms. Matthews right now, so let's give her a hand as my assistant, see she's there. For those that do not have the survey with you, raise your hand. She will make sure you get them. Be advised that some of the stores on the list may no longer be in business and will obviously not be considered. We do not need your name and our personal information on the survey. However, when available, an email notification of the survey results will be provided to those who have provided us with a valid email address. If you would not provide us, if you have not provided us with your email address and or you do not receive notifications from our office, you may wish to turn it in today. So please double check and fill it out. Double check when you signed in today to identify that you want to be recognized with our correspondence that we send out weekly and or monthly. Without further ado, I want to make sure we recognize our Chief of Police, Mr. Mark Fronterata. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Councilman Franklin has always been a very, very strong supporter of public safety, and obviously I know that's paramount to all of us, including the men and women of the Englewood Police Department. I say to you that would please reservation that in District 4, crime has been diminished. However, I say that with reservation because overall we've had a recent uptick in some violent crime. But I'm here to assure you that the Englewood Police Department is committed to putting its full resources to apprehend those people that do these types of crimes. And that being said, I'm pleased that at least 3 of these individuals we have in custody. And when I say we put the full forces of the police department towards this endeavor, it's all of us in this room and all of us in this community. It's our community, and we want to make it safe for our children and for us to move about the city. The city is really on the move. I see a very, very bright future here, and together we'll bring that public safety component. And when these bad things happen, we all work together. I look to you, I look to the ministers and pastors in this community, and we all try to find ways to take the edge off of crime. And to that end, we've made some inroads, but we have a long way to go. But we're here for the long haul, we're committed, and we're gonna get there together. And I'm very, very confident that we will continue to drive down crime rates, and it's my goal to have a police force that is in concert with the community and does it certainly in a dignified way. That's very, very important as well to me, to have that type of an officer. And we were committed to that. And I know together we will get there. Some of the areas I know in this district that we had some concerns, that we all had some concerns, rightfully so. I know in the area of 108th and Crenshaw were some violent crimes that occurred there latter part of last quarter of last year. We committed significant resources to this day, and we've had a dramatic drop in crime in that area. Some of the violent crime is what we call unpredictable because it's domestic in nature. Very, very difficult for us to control that, but we certainly do have to respond to that, obviously, and address that. And to that end, at least half of those crimes were domestic in nature, so that's a very unfortunate thing. But again, the men and women are committed, of the police department, are committed to solving those crimes and to raising the quality of life in this community. And to that end, I think we've made some great inroads. I know the councilman talked about places like Acosta Taco in conjunction with Public Works, and some of those other places out there where we've had quality of life issues, and we've really concentrated on those things to deliver a better quality of life for everyone here. But together, we're going to get there, and I'm very, very confident of that. Again, I say it with reservation, but overall violent crime last year was down 20% in the city, which is quite significant. But again, we can do better, and we will do better. But I ask for your continued support. I know on some of the handouts in here, there's some numbers. Obviously, in an emergency, always dial 911. But I know particularly on this is a good handout that the councilman has provided for you, and it has a host of numbers on here. But there's not emergency numbers for law enforcement that's on here. There's a graffiti abatement number on here that you can call, and obviously you can call us. And I know there's a lot of concerns with, as the councilman touched upon, recreational vehicles and illegal parking and those kinds of things, but we are certainly committed to addressing those issues in your neighborhood. And call us, and we'll gladly respond out there and take care of that for you. Some of these people are a little smart, you know, they move these motorhomes and so forth, and then we got to kind of chase them around a little bit, but, you know, we'll get there and we'll continue to deal with it. Call us, like I say, when you have concerns, and we'll certainly address that. I don't know if, did you have the, is it up there? Yeah. Also, this is called crimemapping.com. This is something that I instituted earlier this year, that all of the public can go on and access the crime information for the city. Because again, we're working in partnership here, and you know, you can look at your individual neighborhood or area, and then you can determine if, you know, what all's going on there. And again, you become more informed about what's going on, and your eyes and ears are what we need out there in the community to report illegal activity. And something I always talk about is situational awareness. It's, what I mean by that is, you know, all of us have, wherever you go today, you should always have situational awareness. Whether you're just pulling into a 7-Eleven or getting gas at the gas station, you know, take a look around you, see what's going on. If something doesn't look right, maybe you don't want to go in there at that time and you want to call us, so we'll go check it out. If you have somebody suspicious looking in your neighborhood, knocking on doors, or just doesn't look right, call us. We'll come out there and we'll make contact with them. And that's what we're here for, and your eyes and ears out there help us tremendously, and together we can do a lot of things. So have that situational awareness, look out for one another in your neighborhoods, in your neighborhood watch groups and block clubs, and you know, I'm very proud, and you should all be too, that we have a tremendous amount of block clubs in this community. I believe there's like 240 of them. I see some people from the Alliance here and some of the other block clubs out there, which I do attend as often as I can, and anytime I'm invited. So, oh, you want me there, just send my secretary a note and I'll be there for you. But this is a, you can go online and just put in, you can change the parameters of what you want to look for in there, and you can get the type of information that you need. And certainly, it's a very user-friendly website. There's another component we use to deploy our resources and so forth. But this is for the public here. So also, I want to add one thing to Redflex. It is no longer being enforced as of January 17th. So the cameras may flash, but you won't get a ticket. Now that doesn't mean you can run the red light though, because if there's a motor officer there, you'll still get a ticket. You know, I do want to say real quick, and I know there's a representative from the forum here, but it has been an exciting 2 weeks. The forum has opened, and it's really a great time for the city, and something to be proud of. I know the councilman had a lot to do with that, and certainly we appreciate that, and thank you for that. And it's just the beginning, tip of the iceberg as this city moves forward. And we are here, like I say, the men and women of this department, to work together with you to make this a safer community. And lastly, I wanted to put up, anytime I can get in front of an audience, I just want to let you know that we are hiring in all departments in the police department, so especially police officers. So if you have sons or daughters or relatives or friends or what have you, please have them go to our website. They can do it all online, and we would welcome that. I love having residents apply for some of these positions. And again, it's all automated today, and all the information is there, or you can go on our website, inglewoodpd.org, and would love to have local people apply for these jobs, because I do put them at the top of the pile. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. A couple of questions or comments to the chief. So those that have Redflex camera tickets, you must pay them now, but in the future, we have saving grace, just don't run the red lights. As I told you, that I may be your forefront, but when you call me and send me emails, you have this issue or that issue, it doesn't do me any good unless I have the staff there to help me. And we recently had some issues in the last several months that had to deal with a group home. And there was issues of no truths, half-truths, and assumptions that we were given information, and I want to personally recognize and thank this captain for making sure he helped spearhead and put us all together, and we got all our answers, all our questions answered, and now we understand how the state of California has the authority to bring group homes into our community, and there's certain criteria that they have to be abide by. Please help me recognize Captain David Salcido. Now, as I told you, the theme is moving our economy forward. And as you've heard earlier, we talked about suppressing the crime issues, addressing those issues. We also talked about the influx of traffic going to and fro. We also now want to move forward and talk about capital improvement project. When you keep calling me up and saying about sidewalks need to be repaired, potholes need to be filled, streets need to be resurfaced, there's only one man I reach out to because he's the head of that department. Please help me recognize our Public Works Director, Louis Atwell.
Councilman Franklin, thank you so much for the warm introduction. Again, my name is Louis Atwell. I've been with the city now for a little over a year. Some of you may have seen me speak last year, and I was just a rookie. Now I feel more of a veteran. And it's been a wild ride, but a very interesting and great ride, too. A little bit about the Public Works Department. I brought a presentation. Need that sometimes. Next slide, please. The Public Works Department is made up of 9 divisions, essentially administration, engineering, environmental services, which is the solid waste, fleet services, general services, which repairs our buildings, GIS, which is mapping, public services, transportation engineering, and utilities. Next slide. And within those divisions, we tackle all of our core services. We design, maintain, construct, and inspect all of the city's infrastructure. It includes the water, sewer, storm drain, the buildings, park structures, just about everything that the city owns, the Public Works Department is responsible for it. And we also issue permits anytime a contractor comes in and constructs within the public right-of-way, which is between the back of sidewalk to the back of sidewalk in a street. That's within the city right-of-way, and we issue permits for that work. Because when they, for instance, the Southern California Edison or the gas company, when they come in and do work, we have to make sure that they put the street back in proper working order. We also, I heard that. She says they don't. We'll let somebody else handle that one. And we also maintain and repair the police vehicles. And so we have a good relationship with the police department, trying to make sure their equipment is up to snuff. Next, please. So as far as completed projects go, I'm going to take a little bit of the credit, but also give credit to my department. In 2010 and 2011, the Public Works Department, before I came on board, completed three capital improvement projects for the whole year. In 11-12, they completed 7. And then in 12-13, last year, we did 17. So we've really improved. We had the same team, but we got them to work a little harder, I think. So next slide. So I'd like to talk about some of those projects. And one of them, the councilman mentioned, is the traffic signal at 104th and Crenshaw. Apparently that had been on the books for a little while, and we were able to get that done. And now we have a great traffic signal with LED, pedestrian improvements, and also a dedicated left-hand turn lane, which makes it safe for the folks that drive that route. And that's thanks to my principal engineer, Keith Lockhart, who's my transportation engineer as well. So he's sitting there. And then we had several street improvement projects. As you can see, we did 111th, we did Crenshaw Service Road, 2nd Avenue, 3rd Avenue, and nearly 94,000 square feet of new pavement. The next picture will show, the next slide will show the before and after, at least on the Crenshaw Service Road. It's so nice to have a brand new road, essentially. And then the next slide shows the transit stop improvement project. We constructed a new bus pad at 111th and Prairie. They're very costly because they use concrete. The buses are heavy. They pull in, pull out, and sometimes they can tear up the pavement. So we go in and we do improvements to the bus pads, as well as we did 29 wheelchair ramps. And our goal is to do every ramp so that everybody can access the sidewalk. It's not fair that some people can't, but now we're required by the Department of Justice, where the American Disabilities Act resides. So we did 29. And throughout the city, I can't remember, I think we did over 100 last year. The next slide will show, this is the bus pad improvement, and the next slide shows the curb ramp improvement. Then our water system, what we completed, and Golden State has some figures up here. District 4 is primarily served by Golden State. The good thing about that is that we have the opportunity to change out all of the water system that we own, that the city owns. So last year, we improved the water systems on 1st, 3rd, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, essentially the avenues. We put in new pipes, also at 101st, 102nd, and 104th. And we're not done, because this year we're going to do quite a bit more. We're also relining the sewer on Yukon, as well as on 107th. So that's last year. Now we have this year. This year, we have, next slide please. We have quite a few more projects. I don't have the details because they're still under design. We typically, it's interesting, it feels like spring now. We don't construct our projects until we get into the spring because of the rain. It could delay contractors. We don't have any rain this year, which is, it really is unfortunate, but I guess take advantage of it while you can, because it's beautiful outside. But this year, we're going to do 104,000 square feet of street improvements, whereas last year we did 93,000, a little over 93. So we're going to be doing more. And as long as we're doing more, that's better. And as far as the water system improvement project goes, we're going to do 18,500 linear feet. That's 3 miles, essentially 3 miles of more water lines. And I think that wraps us up for, I think it wraps up almost the entire district. And then as far as sewer goes, we're going to be doing 1,500 linear feet of lining. And sewer lining, what we do is, structurally, the sewer pipes are probably in good condition. We go in and then we put a PVC liner within the sewer pipe to make it flow better and not leak. So it's very cost efficient. And then, of course, everyone's favorite legacy project, and unfortunately, it's a project that I can't put to bed quite yet. The Century Boulevard project has been on the books for many, many years, unfortunately. However, the good thing this year, what we ended up doing was expanding the project design-wise to go all the way to La Cienega. Before, it stopped at Felton before the 405 freeway. Now we're going all the way to La Cienega. The issue is, the design's not the issue. The issue is the city of Inglewood is in litigation with the state to release the money in order to construct the project. So it's all tied to the redevelopment agencies. It's kind of over my head. But what we'd like to do is, as soon as that money is released, be ready to go out to bid and construct it. So we will be done with design this year. We may be able to start construction this year, but I can't promise anything. I never promise anything with Councilman Franklin, but I get things done. So anyway, with that, if there's any questions, I'll entertain them, please. Oh, go ahead.
Before we take the comments, I just want to elaborate regarding the Central Boulevard project. As you know, it once was a redevelopment agency project. It has now been moved to a successor agency project, because the state is now trying to commandeer all of our funding that we had appropriated for the redevelopment agency. So thanks to our mayor, James T. Butts, and we have an outside law firm that go and meet in Sacramento with the Department of Finance to address those issues, and that's one of those key issues that we're addressing with now, and in fact, it's called a meet and confer. And there's a meeting scheduled later on next month to meet with, again, Department of Finance on a number of financial projects that used to be under the redevelopment agency, but now the successor agency. The state is fighting every city of trying to hold on to that money. And so we are dealing with multi-million dollars in which they're trying to identify it belongs to them. So that's why there's been this hiccup of trying to finally get Century Boulevard repaid. And also, I did acknowledge earlier in my comments that on Century Boulevard, you will now see some disruption of the flow of traffic because we are dealing with Golden State Water, which is on the south side of the Century Boulevard lanes, that's where their water lines are, and they're now starting to replace them. So when we do get the funding that is needed to do the surface repaving, we're now at least getting the underground portion taken care of. Now we'll take question or comments, if you don't mind. Yes?
The water system project that was completed in 2013, when are we going to have the street slurry completed, because we have a striped street now?
That's a great,
Half and half.
that's a great question.
So repeat the question.
Okay, so when we did, this is something new. We typically don't slurry seal the street after we do the construction. In the past, what they've done is they've trenched it and just put pavement. So what I asked the water department or the water division to do was give me a half-street improvement on the slurry seal. Now, what I plan on doing is coming back and slurry sealing the other half this year or next year, but I'm going to try and do it this year. Okay, because before they would just trench it, put the pavement in, but not take the slurry all the way from essentially the gutter to the center line of the street. And that's a new thing. So that's what we'll try and do this year, is do the other half.
Well, it certainly makes our neighborhood look ugly.
Okay, then you know what? Then I'll make sure it's done.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'll make sure it's done. Any other questions?
That being said, Century Heights is in the house. And we will recognize all the block clubs momentarily. A couple more comments. Yes, sir, all in the back, and then one in front.
Once the legal wrangling is done for the Century Boulevard project, you get the okay, how long will it take?
So once the discussion is had regarding the funding mechanism, how long will it take to complete the project of Century Boulevard?
That's a great question. It's about 3 miles long. Keith can probably elaborate better than I can. We didn't have to go through the bid process. The bid process would probably take a couple months right there. And then after that, it's going to be about a 2-year project. It's very extensive. Typically, and it'll be done, we're going to try and do it not all at the same time, but in phases. So they'll do 1 mile and then another mile, but usually it takes about, a project that big, about two years.
Okay, one more question or comment, gentleman right up front.
Yes, sir. I own a property at 27 West Central Boulevard, and the street sweeping days are on Tuesdays. They sweep the south side of the street, but on the other side, the north side of Century, between 8th, 7th, and 1st Avenue, there's an accumulation of trash there on weekend, week out, and would it be a big deal to tell that street sweeper to go down and come back and sweep the north side of Central Boulevard between 8th, 2nd, and 1st Avenue?
So the street sweeping, I'm just repeating it for the audience. The street sweeping issue has come up on the north side of Century Boulevard between Crenshaw on the west and Van Ness on the east. That's the issue on the north side of not being swept properly, and they want to be able to see if that can be adjusted. You also might add about our challenges we're having with the street sweepers being
Sure.
functional.
So what I'll do is I'll take a look at that. Thank goodness Keith loves to take notes. I think it's an engineering thing. I'm an engineer, but, so we'll go ahead and look into that. Street sweeping and actually tree trimming, to me, are two, almost like what the chief mentioned with the crime, are the two biggest issues that I have right now, okay? The street sweepers, they're pieces of equipment that have been around for a while. They're very expensive to replace. and we frankly don't have the money. However, I plan on going to council early this year, which would be probably in the spring, I would say within a month or so, to bring on a brand-new street sweeping contractor to do all the street sweeping in the city. And when I worked for another city. We had a contract street sweeping company, and they did an excellent job. Unfortunately, the street sweepers we have are very old, and there's not enough of them. And, but the people that we have doing that will be absorbed into our street improvement crews. So we'll have more people to help improve streets, and, but we'll, I think, have better work with as far as street sweeping goes. So, and then as far as tree trimming goes, I plan on bringing a contract tree trimming service to assist the existing tree trimmers. So the existing tree trimmers aren't going anywhere. They do a great job. They've got great equipment, but there's only 2 crews for the entire city. And so we have 18,000 trees. It's going to take them 10 years to do all of our trees. So I need to bring in a tree trimming contractor to assist there as well, but not replace them, but supplement their activities.
Okay.
And I'll look into the north side of Century.
The other thing I do want you to be made aware of, I am your sounding board. So when you have issues, you give them to me, and then I disseminate information to the various department heads for assistance. One of those such items that we were dealing with, and that was the street sweeping coming before the hours of the day that they said no street sweeping. So I was dealing with issues from calls from you that said, why is the street sweeper coming here at 5:45? Or coming before 8 o'clock, which is posted. This gentleman here has made sure that that the street sweeper will be in compliance with the time frame, normally it's 8 to 3, on your block for that street sweeping time. So Mr. Atwell is our man, and he will make sure it continues to happen. So on that note, let's give him a hand if you would, please. Thank you very much. We have a question or comment? Yes.
Just a question on the street sweeping. Once the street sweepers go by, let's say they're 8 to 3, they come by and they sweep the streets at 12, still can't park?
So, not without a ticket. The purpose of the street sweeping, we've had some issues, not only about not parking. The comment was, there's a postage that will say no parking from 8 to 3, which gives the lead time for 2 purposes. One, for the street sweeping, and also for the trash pickup. And so that's why we have no parking from that time period, to give us adequate time. I will not get in the debate about whether or not on a week of a holiday, what becomes of street sweeping versus what becomes of the trash pickup. I'll give you that. It's already in your packet. I asked you to look at that. But to answer your question, that's the purpose of it, to be able to allow that adequate time frame. The other concern is, and to answer specifically your question, that if you park before the signed time, such as 2:55, and it's at 3 o'clock, you will be given a ticket.
Even though both of the activities that no parking?
Even though both activities have been completed on that street. That is correct. Because the officers, there's a different division, which is the Public Works Department that does the street sweeping, and they also work in concert with our waste hauler. With the parking enforcement officers, special enforcement officers, are from the police department. So 2 different avenues. The development side of things. As you know, as we are currently in a building that in a few months and or years from now will no longer exist. We're gearing ready for the new development of the Hollywood Park Tomorrow project, which includes the renovation of 238 acres. So you think of where you are right now, which encompasses part of the Hollywood Park Casino, but the Hollywood Park racetrack and all its surroundings is part of the entire development of 238 acres. We've heard rumors talk about, are we going to have an NFL stadium? Are we going to have a mixed-use project? I wanted to bring a vice president from the Hollywood Park, the Tomorrow Company. Please help me recognize Vice President Gerard McCollum II. Oh, that's right.
Right.
Oh, he's fighting a cold.
Yes, my apologies. I've got a cold this morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you again for having us out. I think I've seen many of you over the years, actually started this project back in 2005, if you recall. So we've hung in here, and now we're actually very excited to actually announce we're actually starting. As many of you knew, December 22nd was the last day of horse racing. It was a very emotional day. It was a great day of celebration and reflection on the great history that's been here in the city of Inglewood. But at the same time, it also reflects that where we're moving with our future. The exploration of the track kind of going into the history really marks kind of where we're going forward into our future. Hollywood Park Land Company is the company I work for, actually based out of San Francisco, does pretty much large projects like this. We have another project in San Francisco called Treasure Island. It's over 600 acres in the middle of San Francisco that we're also developing. We're also developing Bay Meadows, the former racetrack up in Northern California. We're very well known for the ferry building and flood buildings and a number of historical preservation projects in Northern California. So we do very quality projects. We take our time. We listen to the citizens. You know, part of our land plan overall that we put together that ultimately wound up being the plan came from many of you, the citizens. Back in 2005, 2006, many of us sat in this room, in the room next door, with charts and graphs and dots and trying to figure out exactly what this project should look like. And at the end, we came up what we thought was a very viable project that actually kind of grew out of the community. So we're going to go through a little bit just to give some updates. I think many of you may already know, but just to give you a little bit of review of what the project is. Next page. I always give this slide because folks don't really recognize one of the things about real estate is location. Location, location, location. Inglewood sits right smack dab in the middle of the Los Angeles County Basin. Within 30 minutes of this site, over 3 million jobs. As many of you may already know, just south of us, located Elon Musk, what they're calling Elon Muskville. That's SpaceX and Tesla, just on the opposite side of the freeway here. Right to the north, just west of us, Silicon Beach, right at the end of Playa Vista is located. So Inglewood sits right dab smack in the middle of the most job creation that's happening in the Los Angeles County area. Again, I apologize for my cold. So right dab smack in the middle of it is Inglewood and is our property. So this just gives an example, if you press the next, you'll just see throughout the region there are a number of regional hubs associated with various parts of the city, whether it's Pasadena, Old Town Pasadena, or Westwood Village, or Larchmont Village, or now what's reemerged in terms of what's Culver City. Inglewood has that in Market Street, but what's happened with Market Street is that the viability of most of the larger retailers haven't been able to fit in there because of size restrictions. There's no parking, the store depths aren't big enough or whatever. And so one of the theses that we had in meeting with many of the residents here was, how do we create a village hub? Basically a village hub that represents the city of Inglewood, but actually is a regional hub. Next slide. Keep going. Many of you know this already. In terms of the retail buying capacity and between the retail number of people that were in this area of Hollywood Park, within a 5-minute drive, over 844,000 people live. It's one of the most dense communities in the United States. And with that, you have various incomes. And so when people always reference, when we're going out talking to retailers, they say, well, the average income can be kind of on the lower side, so we're not actually sure. That's actually not correct. Because it's so dense, unlike other communities, you have a lot of everything. You have a whole lot of folks above 100,000 and a whole lot of folks below 40,000. So you have this bridge of just a lot of everything. So at the very end, when you start looking at the numbers of people above, income levels of 100,000, Inglewood rates very high overall throughout the county of Los Angeles. So the trade area is very robust. There's still a lot of retail leakage, even though with the success with what's gone on up and down Century Boulevard. There's still a lot of folks go outside to shop or go outside for dining preferences, down to El Segundo and Century City for high-end dining or whatever. And so we think we have an opportunity to be able to capture that. Again, major retail, regional shopping centers. You know all these shopping centers, Fox Hills, Baldwin Hills, Stonewood, Manhattan Village. Yet within this whole area, and you can see the little rectangle where we're at, there is no large regional retail centers in the area. That's not news to you, but a lot of people, when we start actually putting out just facts, don't, just put down the facts, they start to go, wow, we're not servicing this area, how do we get to that area? Part of everyone said, well, how did you come up to the ultimate size of what you're going to develop here, which is over 620,000 square feet? A lot of the market data that we just briefly went over illustrates that we feel relatively comfortable being able to capture enough retail to sustain 620,000 square feet of retail. What does 620,000 square feet of retail mean? It's similar to the Grove in size. So that's a pretty good sized retail district that's being, that will be built here. So this is basically our land plan. And I'm gonna step away here a minute because I need to point to some things on the map here. This is Prairie, this is Century. Our retail center will be located right on the corner of Prairie and Century. This is about 620,000 square feet of retail. And in a lot of that, and in a lot of that, 620,000 square feet.
Can you repeat what you just said before about the streets?
Sure. So this is Prairie and this is Century, just to give you a proximity of where we're at. We are probably right now, this is the casino, so we're right about right here right now. What's missing on this diagram is there's the pavilion, which we're in right now. That's the back half of the casino. But 620,000 square feet of retail, parking structures similar to if you've ever been to the Grove in terms of major parking structures center loaded that would enter you into basically a pedestrian-based retail center. Anchored by, and some of this is moved, we actually have now pretty close to solidifying our movie theater deal, which is actually now going to be larger than we initially thought about. And the movie theater's been moved up to here. The movie theater folks, it actually became a very competitive process. We had absolutely no idea. The movie theater folks are estimating just the number of visitors to the movie theater alone will be somewhere between 1 million and 1.5 million a year. That's how much of the impact that's anticipated by the project. We're building a brand new lake within the middle of the project that came from you. Many of you may remember everyone was saying, we have these beautiful lakes on the inside of Hollywood Park. How do we get access to them? Years ago, we used to be able to go fish and go hang out in the middle of the park, and could we be able to recreate something like that? And so we have come up with this 11-acre lake park that will be a brand new lake park. It will be a regional draw. It does a number of different things for the engineers in the room. It cleans all the storm water off the site, so it's a very green feature. The whole project is targeted to be green. We're using all the reclaimed water coming out of the, coming up this prairie corridor to irrigate the entire project. We've been working with the city on to clean up the water as well, and to make sure that it smells nice and you don't have those issues with reclaimed water. This 11-acre lake park is a 2-tiered lake. The upper lake will flow down into the lower lake before flowing out to the Dominguez Channel. This great separation between the upper and the lower lake is a 11 to 12-foot waterfall. And that waterfall is actually a manufactured waterfall by a company called Fluidity. Fluidity and a company called Wet are, you kind of, if you've been to Bellagio hotels or you see those big fountains on Dubai or what have you, this waterfall will do a number of different things at night. It will light up, it'll do different types of gyrations or whatever, so that's kind of an entertainment feature as people are walking along the walking path around the lake edge associated with it. That looks completely over into what we're calling our Lake Plaza area, that will look into basically what we're setting aside to be our restaurants. Change to the next page. Just to go over a little bit here, and we'll go over the commercial a little bit later too, but 25 acres of parks, so we're putting into the entire system. 4 acres of land have been dedicated to the city already. And that's the civic site that's going to be up at the northern end of our lot. And hopefully we're working with that to maybe be a school or something like that at some point. 620,000 square feet of retail, 75,000 square feet of office space. There's a homeowners association club that'll be built on site. Casino renovation in place. Right now we're looking at whether to redo this building or renovate it in place. It's a, it's a facility that's been around for quite some time and needs a facelift. The problem with that facelift is about $65 million. And so what do? Do you facelift the existing kind of building, or do you start all over again? So we're working on that. Hotel with meetings facilities. It's really interesting. 2006, 2007, I think this was a request of the council for a hotel space. And we kept going, we're not exactly sure. There's so many hotel rooms down on Century Boulevard. There's just so much down on Century Boulevard. Well, now we're out in New York starting to do like the retail meetings, and we've got all these boutique hotels approaching us. So now that's looks more like it'll be faster than later in the project. And then the residential houses, 2,995 homes have been entitled. That's a lot of homes over a lot of long period of time. So what I want to say to people is that 238 acres, it's a huge piece of land. It's the second largest private infill development in Los Angeles County. This isn't 30 acres, it's 238 acres. This is like a city within a city. And to that point, we're not gated. We are part of the existing community. It will blend into the existing community. And so we'll go to the next slide. Again, just kind of going over a little bit of the retail. We kind of went over that. Some of this is changing again. Movie theaters have changed around, parking structures, casino renovation. We've already done some things, relocated the off-track betting to the other side of the casino. So part of the shutdown has already begun on the existing racetracks. Just some images in terms of what we're looking at, in terms of what we're trying to do. This is looking outside of the retail center, coming around the lip of that lake. And again, you'll see this is a walking and jogging path that take you all the way throughout the complex itself. The complex integrates with the park system. It integrates with bike paths, jogging paths, and workout facilities throughout the park system. The parks are public parks, so just because you don't live in it doesn't mean you can't come in. It's for the park. So 22.5 acres are dedicated to the public, and 2.5 acres are private spaces for the homeowners. Again, another vision. One of the things that came out of our community meetings that we are taking wholeheartedly is the design of the project. So the thought is for this thing to not look like it just landed out of nowhere, for it to actually look like it's a part of the community. So a lot of the design are things that you've seen throughout Inglewood, the red tile roofs, the Spanish Andalusian style homes. You could see Westwood Village and some of the dome structures here, or the Helms Bakery District. That's complete post-war design effort is a lot that we're putting into the project. So it's going to take us a bit of time. If you know anything about our company, we are, when we did the ferry building in San Francisco, everybody said, "Oh, nobody will ever go there. Nobody will ever cross the Embarcadero. People won't ever go there." It is now the third largest heavily trafficked property in San Francisco. And if you go to the city's website or any hotel in San Francisco, it mentions the ferry building. Those are the type of projects we do. Walnut Creek, it's a number of different projects. If you look us up on the web, you'll see quite a bit of our signature projects that we do. Residential neighborhoods, these houses that will be built over a 7 or 8 year period. This is a long project. It's not a quick fix. It's a huge, large project. will be a number of different housing types, everything from condominiums, podium products, to townhomes, to single-family homes. And our desire is to try to mix them within the communities so they also look and mirror the existing communities, so they, you know, look like 10th and 11th Avenue where the single-family homes are, or the Renaissance, and then they come to larger format, or larger density houses as they come towards Prairie Avenue. Next page. Residential types, you've seen these all before: condominiums, single-family homes, various types of townhomes. The park system, again, 25 acres of parks, 22.5 acres are open to the public. The whole development, if you decide you want to take a walking path, and no offense to my friends at the Forum, but the lake will be a better place to walk. It'll be here. You can get coffee in the morning, you can grab your newspaper and visit your friends in the Lake Plaza, but you could also walk through the Arroyo Park, or you could walk all the way back to the Bluff Park area and go to the dog parks in the back of the Bluff Park area. Next page. Just these are just some artist renderings of exactly how the parks would sort of look. Champion Park, if you've ever been to Playa Vista, there's a park in Playa Vista. It's the main park right there at the very front. It's called something park. Oh well, it's a 1 acre park. A lot of the modeling that we did off of that is similar to that in Champion Park. One of our monuments here, a lot of the things we're trying to preserve with the existing tracks will be located throughout the development. One of our major monuments here will be actually housed at the very top of the park, hence Champion Park, City of Champions. Yeah. Again, this is kind of what Champion Park looks like. It's kind of one of those local parks, if you've ever been to Playa Vista, where you might have, your mommy and me classes. There's like a little stage area there for little community events to happen associated with that park. Also, like a local farmer's market may also be conducted in that park as well. Movies at night, that type of thing. Next is Lake Park. Hit it one more time. This is our signature park. This is what we figure is going to be the regional draw. We might have a Banana Republic, but why come to our Banana Republic? Because you're going to have an incredible experience here. So Upper Lower Lake, again, pretty much just on the upper part of the top lake, there's a wetlands, a natural wetlands that will be created. And you'll be able to walk out through decks and kind of look over the wetlands. We have, and this is in the specific plan with this, which is agreed with the city. Sand volleyball courts up at the top area there, barbecue. And at the very side of the gardens here, this waterfall actually trickles down into where you'll be able to overlook into those gardens areas. One of the pavilions we have in there is a chess pavilion. So it's Contemplation Gardens, chess pavilion, just kind of a place where the local community just kind of can come and recreate and be a part of. Next, let's go next. Arroyo Park runs through the spine of the development. This will be sprinkled with various tot lots along the way and exercise positions. And this is basically where, if you live in any of these communities, you can go right out to the park area there, join in any of the jogging trails or walking pathways, and just walk throughout the complex. Next page. Again, Arroyo Park will have a number of check dams, so during the rainy season, you'll just see this natural water flowing down, dumping into the upper lake, which then dumps into the lower lake and out. Bluff Park, the big park in the back. Again, 2.5 acres of that land will be private space, so that's where you'll have your swim club, your tennis club that's associated with the residents. One of the other historical things that we're preserving here is the turf club building is going to actually be disassembled and reassembled back in that spot, and will be the recreation facility for the turf clubs, for the Bluff Park area. So that's, I think they call it, historically they called that the Rock House. Every one of those are being taken apart, cataloged, numbered, and they have to be reassembled exactly how it was before. So there's a lot of things that we're actually preserving in the development along the way. swim club, open play fields, et cetera, in that park. Civic site, again, it's the very, so the Arborvitae is right up here, just to give you an idea of where that civic site location is. Next page. Sustainability, always is a question we're asked along the way. Highly sustainable, as we talked about earlier, California-friendly plants. We're going to be teaming with some of the locals, local parks programs and food programs here to be able to get the kids associated with as this landscaping kind of goes along the way. A lot of the trees have been tagged in the existing development now, these big trees. We're going to be preserving those trees. We're going to create an on-site nursery to preserve those trees while the development goes on, and then those will be reestablished within the development itself. Next. Parks, we've talked about parks. Workforce outreach program. Many of you have followed the newspapers and the councilman's blast, email blast. We've had our first job fair right in December, and our job fairs, and we keep saying this, local job fair, local people, first priority is local. We had our subcontractor job fair the week before, January 17th, great turnout, local again. We're emphasizing local. And so it's local. And I can't tell you how local is local. Okay. Any questions? Yes. Yes, so he asked in terms of, with the different types of housing that we're building, will the pricing of these homes be above what most Inglewood residents can afford? I think you'll be surprised at what that number is. It was very, illustrated by the last number of developments that happened into the area. So the question is, those properties right now we're estimating to be somewhere between like a single condominium, somewhere in the mid-3s, to a single-family home in the 6s. Townhomes in the average is 550, somewhere around that. Again, those are today's prices. We won't have homes up till another 2 years, possibly. Okay?
Yes, in the back.
When we were talking about parklands and going to the part of the new development, is it going to hook into Darby Park or not?
No, it will not hook into Darby Park. She asked in terms of where all of our parks connect, if they would eventually connect back up into Darby Park. If you know, the residents that live above that, there's a pretty big grade separation between, I think it's 11th Avenue and Darby Park, and then it kind of goes down there. And so there's no connection to that. In fact, I think we've worked with the residents along that edge on a specific type of fence that would go along there, because it's always been kind of, with people kind of coming in that back area there.
One more, yes.
What is proposed for the civic site? What offices, are those city offices are gonna, some of them be located?
That hasn't been yet determined yet. That's still,
How many acres is that?
it's 4 acres of land. Any other questions?
Okay,
I
let's give
thank
him
you
a hand.
so much.
Thank you so much. Give Gerald a hand, please. I think it's also critical that 2 things you need to be made aware of. During this multi-year phase of the transition, there's also going to be some disruption of your quality of life. Particularly, and I'm looking at some of the residents now that live around the property, such as those that live in the Renaissance, by Darby Park, near the Crenshaw, on the east side of the development. Because of the topography being up and down, when they start the grading process, it's going to enlighten the livestock or critters that live in the area. And so we will be dealing with those issues. And for those that are not aware of it, I had recently gone a few months ago to the Hollywood Park racetrack event, and the races had to be stopped because there was a coyote on the track. So there's legal guidelines which we can or cannot do with reference to a coyote who is a resident of our city. Laugh if you want, but when they come in your backyard and you say, well, how come I can't kill it? trust me, because we have legal guidelines regulated by the state. But when it comes to the other rodents and the flies, et cetera, we are able to address those issues. I think it's also critical, since we've been talking about this for some time, that you're also aware that we have a young lady in her organization that's been the public relations person and her staff that has came to many charrettes, many meetings with us in block clubs, to churches, to promote this development that you've been seeing for the last several years. Please help me recognize Chris Roberts of the Roberts Group. Chris. She's also working hand in hand, her group is also working hand in hand with the Madison Square Gardens development as well. I have one point of correction I need to make. I originally acknowledged Ms. Alice Grisby, our resident of District 4, as a El Camino College board member, but I was corrected, she's an employee of El Camino, but I do want to recognize that she is the past board member of the Inglewood Unified School District. So I just want to get that point clarified. In addition, I think it's only fair and fitting that when you heard Mr. McCollum mention about hiring local, I want to also acknowledge local. This broadcast that we're doing right now is local. Dyke Redmond is a resident of the city of Inglewood, not District 4, but District 1, that's all right. A resident of the city of Inglewood, and also his staffing, majority of them are Inglewood residents. Please help me recognize Dyke Redmond, his staff from Heart and Soul Communications. Okay. I now would like to move on, and we're backing up just a little bit with reference to a presentation and recognition on how our city manager does his due diligence on trying to be cost conscious on spending monies for the city. As you heard earlier with Public Works about how we're super sensitive about the drought issues in the state of California, we have that same mindset here in the city of Inglewood. We also have a great partner with the West Basin Municipal Water District that helps provide us with water for the city. Please help me recognize our director from the West Basin Municipal Water District, Gloria Gray.
I'm gonna grab a bottle of water.
Oh.
I don't normally drink bottled water, by the way.
Uh-oh.
Normally. Good morning, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here this morning, and thanks to Councilman Ralph Franklin for inviting me. One thing about Councilman Franklin, he is always having town hall meetings to let the community know about really important issues. So I want to really commend him because that is so important for the community to be informed. So thank you, Ralph, for always being, a good partner. And then the other thing I wanted to acknowledge is that I know the mayor is not here and I don't see other council members, but certainly I want to commend the mayor and the council members for their vision and their efforts in bringing two wonderful projects to this community. I've lived here for over 20-some years, maybe 30, and it's just wonderful to see how Inglewood is really on the move. So thanks to Madison Square Garden, Chris Roberts over there, and all the partners and folks involved, and Hollywood Park Tomorrow, Gerard, and those are wonderful projects because it really will bring life back to this city and wonderful revenues and things that we can all be proud of. When I drive down Manchester and I see that huge sign, it's just a delight to say, people, look at what's happening in Inglewood. So again, congratulations to the leadership in this city for making that happen. Again, my name is Gloria Gray, and I am your representative on West Basin Municipal Water District Board. I was elected by you to represent you. Just a little bit about West Basin. West Basin is a wholesaler of water. We actually sell water to the city of Inglewood, so you get your water bills from the city. Some of you may get your water bills from Golden West, Golden State rather, because we sell water to Golden State. So I think those are the two purveyors or providers of water in the city. The other thing is that I also serve on Metropolitan Water District Board, which is the largest wholesaler of water in the entire country. It sells water to 19 million people And so it's the largest. And I represent West Basin on that board, and I will come back to tell you why Metropolitan and West Basin are very important. The other thing is that I've gotten so much involved in water that the former Speaker Karen Bass appointed me to a statewide water commission on water. It's called Delta Stewardship Council. And so I go to Sacramento, and I really am part of making water policy as it affects all Californians. And water is a real important subject right now, so you're right on target, Ralph, because many of you may know that the governor just declared California a drought state of emergency. This is probably the driest year. I believe he stated that this is the driest year in record history. And I guess history is maybe 100 years, I don't know, but it is very, very serious. I was in Sacramento a day before yesterday, and I heard a person that was on a panel that the governor has convened that will deal with the drought. I mean, they're really looking at things to really impact the drought. How do we really deal with the drought? And a couple of words that I heard him say was that this is serious and it's unpredictable. You know, whether you believe in global warming or whatever, you know, something is affecting our climate change. Something is affecting what happens here on Earth. And we're fortunate here to have wonderful weather in California. And you all know what's happening back east on the East Coast. It's just terrible snow and so forth. But here in California, we are in need of water. And drought, really simply defined, is that it's really a determination over a extended period of time to determine how much rainfall it is. And so we're at the lowest in rainfall. We have not gotten a lot of rain, and we don't have a lot of snow, so that impacts our water supply. Here in Southern California, we're in good shape. We're in good shape because we have done some things to make sure that we have water reliability. West Basin has a program called Water Reliability 2020, and one of the things that's part of that program has to do with water conservation and partnering with our city partners. And Councilman Franklin was at one of our events where we did present and acknowledge a recognition to him. I don't know if Artie, if you were there, but we have great partnership with the city of Inglewood. Oh, don't let me forget to do that when I finish. Great, but just briefly, Water Reliability 2020 program is really a program that says that the board will focus on water reliability, local resources. We will develop local resources so that we do not depend on imported water. Some of you may have been on my water trips to the Delta. Two main sources of water is the Colorado River system and the Delta through the State Water Project. The Delta is located up north. The state commission I serve on, we're really looking at, you know, trying to address those issues. But here in Southern California, we're a desert region, and so we have to look at other means of getting water. And so right now, we're about 60% dependent on other resources, whether it's the State Water Project or the Colorado River. So what we want to do here at West Basin is develop local resources we can control. What we do, we have three things that we do. Water conservation. Some of you may have attended some of our workshops where we talk about green gardens. Gerard just talked about the homes that are being built. We're partnering with that project to make sure you have high efficiency water products to conserve water. And so we're doing all kinds of things in partnership. The other thing is that some of you may have participated in the high efficiency toilet program. Well, West Basin gives away low flush toilets. We're actually coming out with a newer one that will require less water. And so I really invite you to be a part of that. It's a free toilet. You just have to turn in your old one and so forth. But it does save water. You know, of course, most of our water is on the outside. We water on lawn and so forth. So we really have workshops that talk about drought plants, drought-resistant plants, if you will, or drought plants that really don't require a lot of water. So we're doing a lot of things. We do things for commercial buildings and go into their kitchens and replace things that will help them reduce their consumption of water. And so West Basin is doing a lot of things. The other issue is water recycling. Some of you may have been to our water recycling plant. We have a water recycling plant that is different from any water recycling plant in the world because we designed 5 types of water. And water recycling is really important because it replaces imported water, the water we get from those other sources that we don't have any control over, really. And so water recycling is very important. We just, the water recycling plant has been there for years, and I think we just hit over 1 billion gallons of recycled water, which means it replaces imported water. I think your street sweepers here in the city of Inglewood uses recycled water. I think they were the only street sweepers that do that here in this region. And so there are all kinds of efforts that we are doing. The third one is ocean desal. What that means is that we're looking at ocean water and treating it to see that if it could be used for some purpose of replacing imported water. We have a demonstration project that is going on right now in one of the beach cities where we're looking at techniques and processes that are environmentally friendly. We are concerned about the environment, so we try to do things that are environmentally friendly as we look at water supply. And so we're doing all kinds of testing to make sure that we do provide the best kind of project that we can in terms of being concerned about the environmental community. Metropolitan, as I said, is very important because it has to do with region. Metropolitan's invested $5 billion in programs to help member agencies, and West Basin is one. So I want you to know that that's why Southern California is doing great. We're in good shape in terms of the drought because Metropolitan, through its member agencies, has invested money in terms of those kinds of projects I talked about. West Basin has invested $600 million. And so this is a huge investment because we realize we need to have control of our water. What can you do? You can continue to conserve water because Southern California may be in better shape than Northern or Central California. We still have to be good stewards of water. We still have to conserve. We still have to do those things that, that will help us conserve our water. So I ask you today, encourage you to look at the resources and programs that West Basin has, become a part of it. I'm always available to assist Councilman Franklin and anyone in the city of Inglewood to make sure that we do have an adequate supply of water. So with that, I'd like to ask Councilman Franklin and Artie Fields to please come up. Okay, this is presented to Artie Fields and City Manager, City of Inglewood, for your dedication and support of the West Basin Municipal Water District Water Reliability 2020 program. And truly, we have a great partnership with the city. They do great things with us. So thank you, and thank you, Councilman Franklin. We also, and this is beautiful. This is a letter opener. Have you seen a letter opener like that with our inscription on it? We present to Ralph Franklin. Isn't that beautiful?
It goes to Mr. Fields.
To Mr. Phil. Okay, great. So here you go, Artie. Thank you so much for what you do. And thank you, Ralph. Thank you. Thank you. If there are any questions, I'm here to answer any questions.
Mr. Fields wants to make just a couple of comments, and then we'll take questions.
Yes, I just want to thank Ms. Gloria Gray and West Basin for this award to the city. I want to accept it on behalf of, even though it's presented to me, on behalf of the entire city council and my staff, because without their assistance, we wouldn't be able to get awards like this. And the work that we're doing is on behalf of the community. And I think this represents that your city hall and your staff are working on your behalf to make sure that you receive quality water efficiently and at the lowest possible cost. Thank you very much.
So some of the projects in the city, for example, by the fire station that is right off of Regent and off of City Hall, we have an ocean-friendly landscaping there. We have landscaping right off of Hardy and Crenshaw, which you will see there as well. And recently, as you heard, come on up, Ms. Gloria Gray. You heard Ms. Gloria Gray talk about being a conservation of use of water. And I'm not asking for husband and wife to share showers together, okay? But I do want you to know that a new issue has arisen. So you're still awake, I see. But there's a new issue that has come up, which has caused the council to revisit, and that is drought-tolerant plants in your yard, and particularly if you're going to have them at curbside, because we now have to revisit that because people now have a tendency of wanting to put boulders and prickly plants up there as well, although they're water tolerant. They're concerns of public safety. But we are reviewing that issue as well, and several of the residents in District 4 have in fact implemented that as one of their avenues. So at this point, we'll take a couple of questions, and we have a couple more speakers before we move on. Comment in the back. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
One of the things I thought about, I don't know if it's feasible to have recycled water that's used for watering your lawns and washing cars and things like that. They have pure water for drinking.
So the question is there recyclable water that can be used within the residential homes? And you want to respond to that?
At the moment, that is not a use. There's certain health standards I would think would have to be met in regards to that on the outside use. But we are looking at other resources, though, as it relates to using it on the outside. But we still, the best thing I can say is that you really should just try to water your lawn as infrequently as you can, you know, and don't leave your sprinklers on. We do have a system, it's called, I think it's called Smart, Water Smart is something where you can actually install it as a sprinkler system. It will go off if it rains, if you have it on, and if it rains, it goes off. So it's a real efficient water sprinkling system. And again, we have it at West Basin. So I do advise you to use what resources we do have.
One more question over here, Ms. Morrison.
As a city, are we using reclaimed water to do our medians and?
In our parks, yes. Yes.
And so the new project that's going down on Century will also have reclaimed?
That's correct, as well as the new development that you just heard earlier at the waterways that has been used at the new Hollywood Parkland development.
Just one comment, I want to go back to the yard. You know, people don't think about the infrastructure of water, the pipes that are built under here and so forth to actually deliver. I mean, that's a huge investment, and I know that people don't think about that, but it's a real huge investment because most of the pipes here in this region are over 50 years old, and so that's a real issue. So when you talk about, you know, using recycled water to go to your house, purple pipe is recycled water. That's when you know it's recycled, when you see a purple pipe. So that system would have to be delivered to homes, so that's a huge investment.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, let's give her a hand, please. Thank you. So before we bring up the next speaker, I do want to remind you about what you heard earlier with the Hollywood Park Tomorrow project, and that was retail leakage, which simply means your dollars that you earn, you're not spending them in the city of Inglewood. And in order to make sure we get the retailers that you're currently shopping at outside the city, please take time to fill out that survey I gave you and make sure we get those turned in so we can talk to the developer about these are the type of retails that we want you to weigh for consideration in their project. Next, since we're talking about moving our economy forward and being energy conservative or conservation, we want to next bring up from Southern California Gas Company, my friend Mike Harrell, if you would please, our representative from the Public Works Affairs Manager. Mike, give me a hand, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman. Good morning, everyone. I'm the Public Affairs Manager with the Southern California Gas Company that's assigned to the city of Inglewood. And although we are an energy provider, we are more than that. We are actually a community partner. We are a corporate citizen of the city of Inglewood, so we share in all the endeavors and all the improvements, all the economical advances that the city is making. I'm here to share some safety tips with you, some things to remind you about earthquake safety, about how to protect yourself, but I also want to share with you a new project that we are undertaking in our entire service territory, and that is with the advanced meters. And what advanced meters are is it's a project, next slide please, where the CPUC has mandated and allowed us to change out our meters. And I brought a meter here to show you. Where what we're doing is we're changing the dials on the meters so they can be read automatically, which means we will no longer have to send out a meter reader to your home to actually read your meter. And I want to stress that the meter reader is not losing his job. They will be moving into other positions. Meter reading is an entry-level part-time position into the gas company. They will be moving into full-time positions, so they will not be losing their job. But part of what we're doing is we will also allow the meter readers to change out the dials that you see on your meter. So the meter reader that you currently have, you may see him now coming out to service your appliances or doing construction work in the street. The good thing about this project is, one, you will be able to access your gas usage on an hourly basis next day. So you'll be able to monitor what your usage is, which is really good for businesses, folks who are on fixed income. You want to kind of monitor what's going on and what you're doing. You'll be able to access this information either over the computer, your smartphone, over the telephone. So it's really a nice technology where you can kind of take advantage of some of the resources that are out there to kind of monitor what your gas usage is. Next slide, please. There are a lot of benefits to the project. Again, as I mentioned, you can get that information quickly. You will be saving money because once this project fully deploys, and we have 6 million meters throughout our service territory, so we estimate that we will have full deployment by 2017. This is a ratepayer funded project, so once it fully deploys, the money that you have been putting into this project, you will get back 3 times. So there's a savings there. There's also a savings on your bill, so you'll see the reduction there. Another benefit, if we currently have a key to your gate, if you have to put a dog away for us to read your meter, you no longer have to do that. You can keep your dog in the yard. You don't have to provide us with keys. We will be able to read those meters without you going through those actions. And also, there are some hard to reach places where we have to estimate a bill until we can get in. We no longer have to do that. And the problem with estimating is we may estimate too high or too low. And then when it finally adjusts, it's kind of a shock. So we no longer have to do that. It sounds like you've experienced that. It does happen. And the way it works, again, is we just change out the dial. We do not have to interrupt your gas service. This device, it's an amazing piece of technology. It's only on for a fraction of a second 4 times a day. On average, it is on 2 minutes a year. So it's just a burst of information. Periodically throughout the day, 4 times, it gives that information and it turns off. So it's not on constantly. This technology doesn't communicate with your appliances. All it does is just provide the read to us. Next slide, please. And this kind of shows how the information is transmitted. From the meter reading module, it goes up to a data collector unit. The data collector unit sends the information to the gas company, and then we provide the information to you. The information that the data collector unit takes is encrypted. It doesn't have your name. It doesn't have your personal information. It's just a series of numbers that only we understand, we being the gas company, and it's de-encrypted, and then it's provided just for your usage. And some of you may have seen some of the data collector units that have been installed. There are 4 in the city of Inglewood. They are already up now, and we are currently testing them. And part of what we're going to be doing is making sure we do a lot of community outreach. to everyone in Inglewood, this project is estimated to begin around the middle of 2014 and carry on into 2015. But we will definitely be contacting you so that you understand what we're doing. Before we access your meter, there will be door hangers on your door. Once we complete the installation, we'll put another door hanger on just to get a survey from you, because we want to know how we're doing on this project to make sure that you're pleased with what's going on. And that's it. If you need any other information, you can go to SoCalGas.com, our website. But out front, I've left some information for you, so please make sure you take it. This will help kind of explain a lot of what's going on. There's 3 sheets and also a small pamphlet that talks about the advanced meter project. Okay, I want to move into just some safety information real quickly. Gas leaks. Hopefully in your packet or out front, there are these cards that are the scratch and sniff cards so that you can know what gas smells like. And gas smells bad. And we put that smell into gas so that it can be identified. Everybody in here I know knows what gas smells like, but you may have children, small children, younger children in your household who may not. So this is a good learning opportunity for them, for you to kind of share with them so that they can understand what gas smells like in case they happen to smell it. An important thing about this is if you detect any type of leak in your home, call us. And I stress that because several times when we go out on situations that involve leaks, and you talk to the residents and they tell you, I've been smelling gas for a couple of weeks now. Why didn't you call us? Don't wait, because you never know when that leak is going to get worse. That leak may get worse when you're not at home. That leak may get worse in the middle of the night. So whenever you think you smell gas, give us a call. It's free. We come out, we'll check your appliances, we'll do an inspection, and we'll find out, what the leak is, and we'll take care of it. So I can't stress that enough. Really, really very important. Make sure you have these cards. Also want to mention to you, call before you dig. You ladies out there, you give your husband a job, you want him to build a fence. Honeydews. You want him to put up a fence or plant a tree or what have you, and he's going to be digging in the yard. Call before you dig. 811 is called the Underground Service Alert. You call that number, it's free. All the underground utilities will come out and they will mark their lines. You don't want to hit a gas line. You definitely don't want to hit an electric line. And if you hit a fiber optic line, that's a different issue there. So the important thing is that we don't want anything to occur. So make sure you call before you dig. 811, free call, please do that. And lastly, out front, you also have this flyer on earthquake safety. There's been a rash of earthquakes as of late, so this is a good reminder on what to do in an earthquake, and I get asked all the time. When there's an earthquake, do not automatically go out and turn off your gas. You don't have to do that. In an earthquake or after an earthquake, take some time, smell. If you smell gas, if you happen to see dirt or water bubbling up, along your property line, or if you happen to hear a hissing, then that may be the opportunity for you to go out and turn your gas off. But don't just automatically do it. Also, we always stress that you have some sort of safety plan in effect. Talk to your family. If an earthquake or another emergency like that occurs away from home, make sure they know where they should go, who they should call, what resources they should access. Because we're expected to have a huge earthquake sometime within the next 20 years. And we never know when that's going to occur. So just make sure that you are prepared. But with natural gas, make sure you know where your meter is. Make sure you know how to shut it off if you need to shut it off. And so this sheet here will actually explain that to you. And I believe that's all I have.
Great. Comments?
Thank you. Any questions? So we all know that if you have a gas leak, you do not light a match, right? All right, let's give Mike a hand if you would, please. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay. And don't forget, I like what Mike said about how the innocent may in fact be unaware of what hazard may be around them. And by having this card with you and letting the children and or your adult children smell this, they have a better sense. And then he didn't talk about it, but you should also make sure you have a wrench nearby, near your gas line, gas unit, so that way you can shut it off for emergency purposes. And he also has talked about being able to have an emergency preparedness outreach as to what you're going to do in the event that something does occur, and that you are prepared for a natural disaster, and particularly how you and your family should stay together and continue to meet. We have one more presenter that I've been holding it for the last because it's our new investor in our city. But before I do that, I want to find out from you, are you enjoying this type of town hall meetings? Yes. Are you finding it informative? So if you will do me a favor, it takes a lot of time and effort to identify what subject matters we're going to have, and then reach out to all these presenters, as well as my assistant. So when you turn in your surveys, thank Ms. Claudette Matthews, a District 4 resident, for a job well done, and you appreciate all her efforts. And thank the presenters when you see them, if you get a chance to engage them. Because I take pride of making sure that I give you current information based on the accumulation of comments you gave me that you value as your priorities. So thank you so much for your indulgence. The last presenter we have had to do with one that we almost lost. If you'll know that the forum was dangling, had gone bankrupt, and it was on the verge of no longer having this icon in the city. Thanks to the city council, that there was the majority of council members that said, we see that there's an opportunity. The mayor on our behalf galvanized that energy, both from the New York to the West Coast, to identify that we can make it happen. If there's a will, there is a way. And so with the council as a whole that said that we're going to make it happen, we're proud to say it has happened. And I think you now appreciate the kind of national public recognition we're getting, but it took a lot of hard work to make it happen. Please help me welcome the new Senior Vice President of the West Coast region, Sid Greenfield, as well as the Public Relations Representative, Jason Lombard.
Good morning. I don't know if you've heard, but the forum is open again. You know, we want to take the time. I think that that's actually a perfect time for us to thank the councilman, Ralph Franklin, for all of his work on this project in making this happen, the mayor and the other council members, along with, you know, the staff of the city of Inglewood. You know, we've had a partnership throughout, and we've been working with them throughout. And it's been, you know, each step of the way they've been there to not only help us, but to make sure that, you know, community-wise, things were happening, and that, you know, we were all on the same page, we were all on the right track. We're going to go through some things. You'll hear from myself, you'll hear from Sid as well, Sid Greenfield, who is our new West Coast representative for the Madison Square Garden Company. We'll go through that. I'm just going to go down a quick interview, or a quick overview very quickly, and kind of we'll talk about where we are, and then you'll see some of the actual pictures. We no longer have renderings. So we have some actual pictures that we'll be able to show you, so that if you haven't been yet, I say yet because hopefully everyone will come to the forum and come see a concert or one of the events that we're having there. You'll be able to see kind of where we are right now. So with that, the overview, the Madison Square Gardens Company's revitalization of the Fabulous Forum will have a transformative impact on Inglewood for decades to come. We're looking to truly be the catalyst for Inglewood. I think that you've seen, you know, we've talked about the marquee sign. You've seen some of the things that have happened on the outside, some of the attention to detail that's been there. We hope that that attention to detail will transform or will translate into all of the other projects that you see come to Inglewood, so that things like the lights that are on the outside that we can make pink during Breast Cancer Awareness Month, all of those things are kind of thought of when you look at all the other projects. It's always good for us when we can look out and we can see people that we've come from a community perspective. We've come to your homes, come to your block clubs, come to your community organizations, and been able to kind of explain the project along the way, heard input along the way, and we are where we are today because of that input as well. Just to go through some of the team members, we have Sid Greenfeig, who you'll hear from in a moment, who is our Senior Vice President, West Coast Business Operations. We still have Nick Spampanato, who is our GM. We have a concert tonight, so you know, the GM has to kind of get the concert going. So he's over at the forum right now working on that. You have myself, Jason Lombard, who is the Workforce Outreach Coordinator. And then we have a member of our team that Councilman Franklin alluded to earlier, who has been there, not from the beginning, but before the beginning, and has been there along the way, along with her team, really making this process happen, and that's Chris Robert, who is in the audience today. Definitely. We have down here meetings held with hundreds of community members to date. We've come to your homes, we've come to your block clubs, we've come to your community organizations, we've had conversations with you on the street. You know, anytime that you see one of us and you have questions about something, or you know, hopefully you have some sort of contact information for us. My contact information will be at the end of this. If you have any questions on that, or questions on things that have kind of been happening, you can reach out to me and then we'll be able to answer those. And with that, I'll pass it over to Sid.
Morning, everyone. First, I want to thank the councilman and Jason for the lovely words. As it's been stated, I just recently joined the Madison Square Garden Company as the West Coast Senior Vice President of West Coast Operations here in California. So I'm happy to be here, happy to be part of the project, and I get to be the one that gets to welcome everyone to actually now talk about the forum as an open operation as opposed to about to open. We're just going to run through a quick presentation. We definitely want to get your comments at the end, so we'll kind of just rush, not rush through, but we're going to kind of just go through it quickly, and then we'll answer some questions. Before we get into the forum, just going to kind of give a reminder of everyone of just who Madison Square Garden Company is and what we do. As you can see, here's kind of a list of our portfolio and what we stand for. As you can see on this list, it's a lot of iconic venues all over the U.S., and the one that we're also so proud in talking about today is obviously the fabulous forum here in Inglewood. Next slide, please. As you can see, we've got a pretty good track, as I'm going to tell you, we have a good track record of restoring and revitalizing world-class entertainment destinations. We put in over $1 billion to transform Madison Square Garden in New York. We put in $70 million for the renovation of Radio City Music Hall, $17 million in the Beacon Theater for their restoration, and as Jason has said before, we've put in over $100 million into the forum. Next slide. With that, we also put a lot of value into our venues. We have a decent success, as you can see by the numbers here, at reestablishing these iconic venues and growing revenues. We've increased the revenue in the Chicago Theater by 123%, 647% increase at the Wang Theater in Boston, 87% increase in the Beacon Theater, and I just want to kind of let everyone know we've done 6 events in the forum, and we've had just about 75,000 people walk through our doors and enjoying their night and enjoying what the forum has to offer.
To kind of go through some of the history, it was constructed in 1967 by Jack Kent Cooke. I think most of the people in this room know that. In addition to that, it's a symbol of Inglewood all over the world. This is one of the things that when you look at the concerts that have been happening, you look and you see people that are coming that have heard of the forum but haven't actually been here. And then you have the people that have gone to Laker games or they've gone somewhere else or gone to some other event, concert that was at the forum. They're now coming, they're coming back and they're seeing all of that attention to detail that I talked about and all of the kind of improvements that have happened. It's a legacy of world-class entertainment for Madison Square Garden and for the forum as well, and then it's revered by the greatest musicians of our time. It's one of the reasons why when Michael Jackson was rehearsing for his final tour, he chose to rehearse at the forum because the acoustics were that superior. And in addition to that, Madison Square Garden has actually added in improvements to the acoustics with panels and things like that throughout the venue. So it's acoustically, we're good, we're above, and then just the iconic, when you look at the iconic history of the Forum, artists want to play there as well. The revitalization, it's a complete renovation, modernization, creating an unforgettable visitor experience. If you look at the people that, or if you talk to some of the people that have come to the concerts that have happened in the last 2 weeks, I think you'll hear that their experience has definitely been unforgettable. Created the largest, most important indoor performance venue in the U.S. with a focus on music and entertainment. This is one of the reasons why, when we get the question about is there going to be a team, that's one of the reasons why there's not a team associated with the Forum, because we have that designation now. Features concerts, family productions, award shows, TV film productions, and select sporting events. Basically, we're looking at everything. You know, there's not really things that we are not looking to have at the Forum that were either there before or we'll try to find a way to have there now, besides, you know, large field or large court type things. Total investment is more than $100 million, and the Forum reopened for business on January 15th. We like to keep saying that because that's the benefits to Inglewood. During the construction, and we've gone over this a few times, but we had more than 320 full-time equivalent jobs on site and from the spillover activity in the community. During that, we had prevailing wage. We had more than 180 Inglewood residents that were hired during construction. It's touching on what Gerard touched on, is local. You know, we had that same focus on local, trying to make sure that there was local involvement on this project. Numerous local Inglewood-based MBE and DBE contractors. A lot of you will recognize some of the names that are there. Curtin Dunsmuir is actually, they actually put all the seats in. So when you see these, when you see the actual pictures, you'll see those seats that were placed by Curtin Dunsmuir. And then we hired a local workforce outreach coordinator, which was myself. Now we'll kind of go through, Sid and I will go through some of the before and after pictures.
So as you can see, this is what the Forum Bowl looked like before. The yellow seats, I mean, it obviously has aged a little. And if we go to the next slide, this is what we've done to it now. As I think a lot of you will see, it's pretty spot on to the renderings that we put up months ago.
And that's one of the things that when you look at this, you know, we came and we talked about the renderings. We talked about the theater-style seats. So you have the higher back, you have the wider seats. So you're coming to a theater, not a sporting event. In addition to that, those lights in the ceiling are LED lights. So when you're in the venue and you look up, it's like a starry night. The whole ceiling's been painted black. So now those lights can either sparkle, they can stay static, you can have little waves, we can put up the constellations in the sky as well. So, I mean, it's really, when you look at, I talk about it, I'll talk about it again, but that attention to detail to make this an iconic venue and separate it from some of the other venues that you see.
And the other thing, if we can go back.
Substantially more leg room.
Yes. And the other thing I want to state also in that starlight sky is that we've also increased our steel so that we can now handle over 350,000 pounds of weight, which pretty much means that there's not a production, award show, or show that we couldn't handle in the facility.
With a tension grid. So before, safety-wise, the load-ins were longer. Safety-wise, there wasn't that tension grid where you could actually walk around. That's one of the things that tours like to see from a safety perspective.
This is the concourse space that was up right when you came in off the terraces. Two things that we've made a change before we go to the correction. Before, when you came into the Forum, this was the only place that you could go to get beverages, concessions, the restrooms, except for the little bar that was on the floor at concerts back in the day. And if you look at it now, again, there are times I have to look at this and remind myself, is that the rendering or not? That is exactly what it looks like. And the other thing that we also did is that we were able to now utilize the terrace space outside. I mean, with the gorgeous weather that we have here in Southern California, you're now technically in the facility when you're on the terrace, where we have concessions, merchandise, seating areas, bars, the whole nine, where you can go and enjoy the show inside and outside when you're coming in.
And in addition to that, if you go back just really quickly, many of you remember if you were on the bottom level before, you had to go up for concessions, and if you were on the top level, you had to go down for the bathrooms. Well, now we've added in bathrooms on the top and concession sales on the bottom as well. So you don't have that up and down sort of feel. But just attention to detail, again, when you look at these little things right underneath the, right here, those are actually small metal forum logos that have been placed by hand. So, I mean, you really see it throughout the project. You see that attention to detail.
And again, this is the outside, as before the renovation started. That's what the forum looked like, you know, before we started the project. And now, as you can see, we've got the lights. It glows at night. I mean, I can't tell you how many residents stop us in the street, tell us how gorgeous it looks. You know, as you mentioned as well, Councilman, the marquee, the sense of pride that I have in my recent time here has been overwhelming, and you know, we're happy to be here and be part of the community on this. This was something that we did. This is our the world's largest vinyl record that we put on the roof of the facility. It's 4.5, the size of 4.5 football fields. It does spin. You can see it from a plane. As I flew in, I did see it, and it's definitely, and it's amazing. When we started the push, this has been getting an over-resounding amount of national recognition, and you know, these are just more things to come. So while we're doing that, now that we're open, now what? We're expecting to create 260 full-time equivalent jobs, and these jobs will be in security, the food and beverage services, and many other things. And our goal is, you know, as Gerard said and we've been saying, local, local, local. We want to have the workforce at least 35% of operational jobs from people from Inglewood. And we also want to use the forum to be a powerful catalyst in the surrounding areas, including the Hollywood Park project, and really grow the area of Inglewood.
And to touch on that a little bit, I mean, I think if you're a resident of Inglewood, you heard about the job fair or you saw the job fair. It was one of those things where we had over 12,000 people that actually came. We made sure that we interviewed every single person that was in line before by the time that was the cutoff time. First day we had 11 to 3. The last person that was in line at 3 o'clock, we were there until about 11:45 to make sure that we did interview everyone. So from that, when you walk around the forum and you talk to some of the ushers, ask them where they're from, I think you'll see that a large percentage is from Inglewood. So definitely. Support for local charity and community causes. Or actually, I'll go back. Rent-free use of the forum several times a year for community activities. Free use of the parking lot for weekly farmers market. That will be on Sundays. We're still working through the details of that, but we'll have a farmers market there. This talks about some of the things, the other activities. When the shuttle came, the Shuttle Endeavor came. In addition to that, we've worked with Councilman Franklin on the Miracle on Manchester. We were able to do that again this past year, 2013. Support for local charity and community causes, and then the exterior landscaping and public art installations. Some of the sculptures and benches have actually started to go in. I don't know if you've seen them, but we'll have small pocket parks. We're going to put in the mile markers for the exercisers that go around. So even though, with all due respect to Gerard, even though Hollywood Park might be that better place to go and see it, we'll have a place for you too to come and walk around. And as I said, my information is here. This is my contact information, and then I can give a card to anyone that isn't able to see that or has any additional questions.
Comments?
Question or comments? Yes, sir.
To this point, frankly, I looked at the particular programming you have scheduled over the next month. So far, I haven't seen anything that really excites me. I'm wondering when y'all gonna kind of get like some
Diversified.
stuff like that that just excites me.
All right, and he's limited to what he can tell you that has already been pre-identified, so he's going to answer that now.
I mean, we do have a diverse programming coming up, and obviously, you know, we are out there looking at every opportunity and every show that is working. Unfortunately, we don't dictate the artist schedules that come out, so we work within their parameters to bring them into the Los Angeles area, make them make their place in LA at the Forum. I mean, right now, what we do have coming up, we have the Eagles finishing up their 6-date run tonight. We've got Alejandro Guzman coming up on February the 1st. Yeah, but I mean, just to answer your question, we are working on it and constantly every day looking and seeking other opportunities to bring a full diversification of events to the venue.
Yeah, we understand that Beyonce and Gladys Knight is in the radar that we're looking for, so he's got that. He's got that. So, And before we do wrap it up, I just want everyone to know, because I only have a couple more minutes left, that it all started with a vision with the city of Inglewood trying to partner at that time with the Great Western Forum Enterprise to identify that we want to do this transition. The reality is the city of Inglewood's redevelopment agency had $18 million that the state was going to take from us, and we had to make a quick move in January 2011 to move that money into this project as a private, as a public-private partnership to make that happen. So this seed money that we was able to use of the $18 million helped galvanize this, as well as working with them to make sure they had adequate parking on-site as well as off-site. So this was a joint effort. This is a continued effort, and you as a community is part of that effort. And so without further ado, we're going to wrap it up. I want to thank everyone for coming. We have one more comment in the back, and then we have to sign off. Yes?
I wanted to add that the issue of when there's actually been at the closing of the event and the opening, are there going to be people selling food on corners and stuff?
So we're dealing with street vendors. Is that been an issue? And I have to tell you, the city of Inglewood does not allow that, and therefore we are going to enforce that, including the ticket, scalpers out there. That's not all allowed. City is not approving that. We won't allow that. We want the retail sales to stay with the city, not for the scalpers that are out there selling and panhandling, et cetera. We want to make sure this is a wholesome environment for both you as the patron and you as the resident, that it's all a win-win.
And Inglewood PD is handling it.
And Inglewood PD is also, and Public Works is also involved in making sure that happens. Okay? Without further ado, thank everyone for coming.
Thank you.
Give yourselves a hand. God bless you. Have a safe trip home. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. The Alliance Group wants to do a brief, quick presentation.
Really quick. Sorry. We just came to thank Councilman Franklin for all of the support that he has given us over the year. Yes, you. And we wanted to start off this new year right. My mom obviously couldn't be here, but she is behind us in recognizing you for your continuous support and starting off the new year right.
Thank you.
So thank you very much.
So this is our Alliance Group, both handles District 3 and District 4, and they specialize specifically on going after the prostitutes that is in our community to get them off. So give them a hand really quick. All right, we are adjourned. Don't forget to turn, there's a box outside, you turn your surveys in. Please turn in your surveys.